Hi everybody, this is Kelsey Scully here with Tony, and we will be presenting on creating effective learner journeys using Totara, and we're glad that you could join us. If you have any questions, feel free to use the chat functionality. I'll be monitoring that and passing on any questions to Tony towards the end. And I'll pass it on to Tony to kind of give you a big intro into what he'll be talking about, so feel free to take over.
Okay, brilliant. Right, good afternoon, everybody. I'm Tony Richins. I'm a solution architect at City & Guilds Kineo. So thank you for joining us today. My role here at Kineo is, amongst other things, well, the main thing I do is actually implementing Totara. That's what I do sort of 95% of the time. And through the experience of doing that over the last good few years, we sort of identified some key learner journeys that the majority of our clients use or wish to implement using Totara. And of course, the flexibility of Totara means you can cover a lot of the bases. And we've narrowed it down for today to 3 key ones, which I'll run through with you in a moment. So I'll introduce each one of the learner journeys themselves, and I'll then show you a client, which then demonstrates each of them. And I'll give you a bit of background about the client and then do a bit of a walkthrough through the site. And as Kelsey just said, if you have any questions, please just put them in the chat, and I'll do my best to answer them at the end of the webinar. So the 3 learner journeys that we sort of identified is really the prescribed approach, and that's where the learners are literally told what they have to do. There's a semi-structured approach, and this is where there's a bit of both, where either learning is pushed to the learner, and they have a bit of access to then go and say, have some visibility of other courses that are available to them. And then the final one we'll cover today is around, I've called it the free flow, but this is a site which has really got sort of the open book idea, where literally there'll be a learning catalogue or all the content pushed out, and then the learner can really just go dive in and do what they want when they want. So the first example is the one I'm sharing with you at the moment with Compass Group. Compass Group have been a client of ours for a good number of years, had various upgrades, and over the time had various customizations as well. They are a large multinational company, and they really provide a lot of permanent and contract staff for the catering industry, facilities management, and also security staff. So the majority of their learning is actually compliance-based. So it's for large numbers of staff, and they have a high turnover of those staff members. So these are sort of potentially casual workers who get employed for certain big events that might occur, things like Wimbledon, other sort of big from both the security and catering side. And they also run a lot of the catering at various establishments, again, across the world. You know, it's when someone outsources their staff canteen or their staff restaurant, for example. Quite often it could be someone like Compass that the staff were employed by. So the Totara that we've implemented for them, there's over 300,000 user accounts on that site. And there's a key thing, obviously anybody that works for Compass, key thing is then for them to undergo an induction program, which they then have to pass and complete before they get access to any other content within the site. So I'd say it's very much a compliance-based LMS. Managers are automatically assigned line manager content, and it's really all job role based as well. So I'm just going to log in here to their site. Again, I'm just really an end learner who's had content pushed to them. And the key thing on this page here, when I log in, as well as getting obviously the Totara menu, some information relevant to them, I get 2 big buttons. Can't be much simpler than that. 2 big buttons where the learner has to decide what they're here to do. So the first button is literally, what do I need to do now? So this is what's been pushed out, and this is what the learner has to do before they can either be employed by Compass to undertake their duties, or it's something relevant to their role. So if I literally just select that button now, and then I'm literally taken through to a menu that we've developed for Compass. So here, this is a take on the record of learning. And this is literally all of the content that's been pushed to me, literally based on my job role. So behind the scenes, there is a data feed coming from their HR system. It's been implemented as a web service, so it's literally up to date with their main HR system. And this is all the content that's pushed to me based on my job role and my location as well. So this is literally everything that I need to do. The grey, as you can see there, is what's not started, and the green is the content that I've completed. And literally there's some filters at the top here. At the moment, the filter all is selected, so I see everything that's relevant to me. The other option here, if I just want to come in and see exactly, right, what do I need to see, what do I need to do now, I literally just click on the not started. So this is the content here, running on the bottom that I need to do. And again, it's pulling the due dates as well. So I can see at a glance what it is that I need to actually complete and by when. And should I want to, there's also the content here that shows me what I need to do and the date that I haven't yet, that I have completed. So again, if I just jump into one of these bits of content, I'm just going to dive in here to the diversity piece of course that they've got going at the moment. So again, using a standard course page, a bit of a theme's been applied. There's the information about what they're going to learn, what they need to do, and then the activities as well. And again here, we're just using the standard Totara functionality, like say the custom course format, just shows the content I need to do. And again, the rollover there is just pulling in the conditional activity information. So I can see again what I need to do straight away, and in this case, in what order. So again, just using the standard functionality, select from the icon, launches the content. If I have the pop-ups enabled. Try doing that one again. And again, in this example here, they've bought some content from ourselves, and it is literally just off-the-shelf content that launches. If I just exit that, that'll take me back to the Totara. And again, I'll just return straight back to my learning. Again, I can turn back to the regular learning screen and access additional content whilst I'm here. Or again, in this example as well, I can go and see the rest of the course catalogue that's there and access that content should I want to. Like I say, Compass, very compliance-based. There's a lot about catering, door staff security. And again, they've got quite a range of e-learning courses, face-to-face courses that run, and blends as well. They've also got quite a big social thing going on. So there's links out to their internal social networking tool. And again, in this example here, my particular learner, again, just using the standard Totara functionality, they can see all of their direct reports. So again, it's quite a prescriptive way of using Totara. With literally sort of what do I need to do straight away, and then again turning back to the home page. If they've got the time and they want to develop their skills, again there's just another big button on the home page which takes them in. Again, we saw this actually just now. This is just the course catalogue, and again this is content that's been restricted to this particular learner that they can access. Some of it is open access that they can just dive straight into. And again, some of it over here, as you can see, is restricted access. So as well as there being a whole load of content on here that they can't actually see, some of the content has been locked down. So they need to go and request access. And again, using standard Totara functionality, that will go to this person's line manager seeking approval to undertake that course. Okay, so that was the first client I was going to show you. Again, it's all using a lot of standard functionality. There's some customization there as well that we've done, but again, heavily utilizing audiences there based on learners' job roles, so they can see exactly what it is they want and by when. The second approach I'm going to show you is actually where the learners can go in and they can either choose what they want to do, or they can get content actually pushed to them. This client here, this is MindEd. Again, been a client of ours for a number of years. MindEd is actually produced, the site, our client was actually the Royal College of Paediatricians and Child Health. So it's a site all about mental health and issues affecting children and young people. And initially, it's a really nice site. You don't have to register to access the content. So there's a whole, or actually a huge library in here that anybody and everybody can come and access. It is an open access site as well. So if you put the URL in, you can come along to the site and see what's there, and you can actually register as well. So again, the nice thing about here is there's free content. So basically in the Totara world, there's guest access that you can access content. And there's also, you can log into the site to access content as well. If I just go back to the home page here, I'm not currently signed in, as you saw. If I clicked on the register option, I can come in, I can register. And again, down here, the clever bit about this site is should you register, we spent a lot of time doing the user journeys and identifying the personas and the type of user who's actually going to enter and use the site. So we spent quite a long time working with the client, actually identifying the key people who would use the site. And we basically come up with quite a large number of, basically these are audiences, but sort of different personas, and then content has then been, or will then be delivered based on the group that they choose. And again, if you do choose a group on this page, we do collect some other information as well about the people who are signing up. So with my user, if I'm just going to sign in now, just leave that page, I'm going to go and sign in. Just do a bit of a walkthrough as what do I see as someone who's registered on the site. So again, now this content has been unlocked and content has also been assigned to me based on the group that I chose on sign up. So there's some slight changes to this page now. I can go and search the e-learning. So literally this will go and search the catalogue on the site. There's some areas on here as well, which is where content is available. And again, a lot of the content on here, it's quite a vast amount of content actually. A lot of this has been provided by the College of Paediatricians and Child Health. So there's lots of content on here that I can go and access. Key thing as well on here is if I go to the area which is called the My Minded, so this is all the content that has been literally pushed to me based on the group I selected on sign up. And again, basically here we've repurposed learning plans. So in here at the moment, based on my job selection or the area I selected, I've been given both a program assigned to me around what they call the foundation learning. If I click on here, there's a program. Again, based on my set, there's quite a lot of content in here. Session is their terminology for course. So I can come in here and start accessing the content straight away. So this again has been pushed to me based on my selection when I signed up to the site. The other side of it here, if I go back to the My Minded, is then I can actually go in, and again the learning plan is being configured so I can then go in and actually choose the content as well and add that to my learning plan. So again, if I just click on Add Sessions, I can then literally explore the site and the quite extensive learning catalogue that they've got here. Just add that to my learning plan. So again, this is showing a bit of both worlds. There's content that's being pushed to me based on my job role and the area of which I've registered, and then there's content that I can go and automatically access and just add to my learning plan. And again, we're using the standard sort of status bars to go in and actually have a look at that content to see what it looks like. Again, there's some nice information on here. I can actually then start and access the course. I can then save the course, which actually adds it to my learning plan. And then we did a small development to actually add in related content. So again, based on my selection, again, I could have added that to my learning plan myself. I then come in here, and there's various courses that based on my selection, it's then making recommendations and related courses that are relevant to what I've selected. So again, that gets pushed to me and stored in my learning plan. So again, this one is actually a very popular site. I'm not exactly sure on the user numbers, but it's really nice. It's, like I say, it's open access to members of the public and obviously professionals to go and access the content. And there's also, behind the scenes, lots of audiences and assigning courses and programs based on my selections on sign up. This has been a great success story. There's various updates to the site over the last few years. Actually, a similar college has also asked for basically a replica of the site in terms of functionality with just a different content involved. And that's Disability Matters. That's now live. And again, there's slightly different content, but the same functionality and a different theme applied to it. And then there's another sort of site in the pipeline as well called Minded for the Elderly. So again, a similar site, the functionality there all works in the same way. The content is different, all focused on the elderly. And again, that serves up content based on literally the user selection when they sign up to the site, as well as what they could choose themselves once in the site. So the third site I'm going to show you today is quite a high-end site. It's a piece we did for a site we did for Samsung. Just bring that up now. Again, this is an open access site. It's available for anybody and everybody to go and sign up to. So Samsung approached us, because ultimately Samsung, as you probably know, sell various electrical goods. There's actually the sort of the handheld devices part of Samsung that approached us about a site. What it is for Samsung, they don't actually have any relationship with the end user or the end salesperson. So if you walked into, say, a Carphone warehouse or any other sort of mobile phone shop, there's no relationship there between Samsung and the end person, the store assistant. So Samsung wanted to get in touch with those people so they can literally give them content and encourage them to access the content around the Samsung products. So ultimately they're more familiar with Samsung, and then should someone walk into the store, they're much more up to speed with how the Samsung products work than their competitors. So if I just log into this site now, so again, when I registered, I chose who I worked for, and then I chose the store as well, so we're capturing that information on login. And again, based on the information, certain content, graphics is being served up to me, presented to me. There's also, with Samsung, a particular provider might have sort of exclusive products. So someone, say, working for EE, might have access to a different colour phone, for example, than another, one of their competitors. Or even globally, when they release products, there's different release cycles. So again, they want to serve up content based on where learners, where the actual users reside. So in here, obviously quite basic, it's picked up my user profile, displaying it on the home page. So it's very feature rich, lots of nice content, lots of scrolling graphics, lots of high-end graphics. They're quite a heavy user of badges. And then if I just scroll down here, you can see all the sort of the content that they have available when they log in. And again, a lot of that is down to me and the preferences that I chose when I logged into the site. So I've just clicked here on the My section, the My Backstage. So again, this is the My Record of Learning. So in here, again, there's some nice blocks at the top here, which take me through to the various pages within the site. There's some nice functionality around here to display new content, what's popular. So obviously we're tracking who's clicking on what, and then sort of serving that up. And again, what's recommended, so what's being pushed to me based on my previous selections. So again, it's some really nice content that's being provided. Really nice, feature-rich, with lots of animations within the site, which is what you'd expect from someone like Samsung. Again, we want to encourage the users to click through the site. And again, it is really a free rein on here. So there's some content that they can't see, but generally they can come in here and just click about and find anything and everything they want about the products that are available. At the bottom here as well is just some nice downloads, PDFs, etc., that they can get at a glance, and crib sheets as well. Again, based on who I've logged in as or who I'm registered as, there's exclusives or exclusive content that's being served up that I get access to. So obviously there's a big phone, the new Galaxy S7 that they're pushing at the moment. And then various, Samsung interestingly actually use this site because there's no relationship between Samsung and obviously the actual the end user of the site. But there is a very large database of who actually uses their products. So this is actually, they utilise that database to actually push out other events as well. And again, all of this is around creating social aspects and social engagement with the end users. So quite interestingly, we've extended the site. So based on the database of learners that's on the site, there's a five-a-side football competition and literally functionality within the site to help build those teams. So learners can go in, nominate a captain, and choose a team. And there's something new in here around, again, a similar sports theme around rugby. And a while ago, there was a competition as well around people taking pictures on their phones and then submitting those to the site. And again, it really created a lot of traffic. So again, it was great for Samsung. You're creating all of these communities within the site, a bit of competition as well, which is always good. And particularly around the badges side of things, they're heavily used badges. You can see on here now, I've managed to gain a few. There's quite a few badges on the site, and we were quite pleased that when the site went live, obviously there's a big marketing campaign in support of it, but we found that we went live and after the following weekend, there were learners sort of almost boasting on social media how they'd managed to get all of their badges within such a short period of time. So you can see here there's a lot here to go and gain. But again, from a Samsung perspective, it's great. If we're creating user traffic, a bit of competition about who's got what badges and when and how quickly, it's just great from a client perspective. And again, it shows engagement in the sense of learners coming back to the site and then trying to outdo each other. The other great thing here based on this is Samsung, there's obviously further work in the pipeline. One of those key things is actually leaderboards. So something we're looking at building for them is leaderboards based on mainly the badges, and again it's just to help create that sense of competition within the learners. Again, that just generates interest, gets people talking about it, whether it's from within the site or again within stores or between stores. So when there are these football matches that take place and the various competitions that are run, it just generates that extra level of traffic and an extra level of interest, which ultimately should reflect well on Samsung. I'll just show you the community side of things. So again, they have competition winners. Have yourself up here in lights for winning the previous competition. And again, some of the competitions are really sort of quite good, very high end. So again, this guy here, Johnny, he ended up going to Tokyo, which was very nice, very generous of Samsung. And again, there's various aspects on here, various competitions, and basically marketing material here to help generate that community feel and to get people accessing the site. So again, a great example of Totara, and a great way of actually showing content and thus allowing the learner to explore through quite extensive catalogue of content that's on here, basically learn more about the product to make it fun as well. So those are really the three learner journeys I was going to run through. There's 3 example sites of ours that we've built. I was going to see if there's any questions at all. I'm sort of conscious of time. Give us a few minutes if anybody has anything that they'd like to ask, either about these sites, about your Totara site if you've got one, or if you're contemplating getting involved with Totara, any questions you might have around either what it can do or what you'd like to do with it. Is anybody in there? No, well, that looks, you obviously had a great time. The session has been recorded, so we'll make that available to you and send out the details. Again, if you have questions either about Totara or what we have done or what we can do.
Hold on.
Oh, hold fire, apparently.
Is it possible to socially interact within modules? This question was asked by Toby. This would have been at 1525, so it would have been doing the same stuff.
Doing Samsung, so interact within the models. I presume you mean within the actual e-learning content itself. So if I just find a piece of content to quickly bring that up. So again, yeah, this is using, I believe, the Adapt framework. So if I just load that up, Toby, and show you. So in answer to your question, yes. So within the content here, I'm just going to scroll down the page. There's a quiz in here. I'm not going to embarrass myself by going into the quiz. It's various information about the products. So there's interactions within here. So again, in this one, I've seen sort of the various features of the phones. What might be involved there. Again, just running along the top here, there's specs of the phones. Later in the content, the quiz towards the end. I've already been through those. So again, if I dive into the quiz, I'm going to, like I say, I'm not a Samsung expert, far from it. So again here, just a built-in quiz within the content itself. I'll just give you a couple of the examples. Again, the site is up and available. If you did want to go and register, you can go and have a look. So, yeah, so again, there's some quite specific questions about the camera, or in this case, about this particular phone model that I've clicked on. And again, at the end of this, if I get the required completion grade or pass, I then actually get a badge awarded as well at the end of it.
Toby's also asked, with other sites, if I go on a course, can I interact with other users that are also on the course?
Some of them you can. So there are things like obviously using the social tools. So there's chat functionality, there's forums. It depends how the site's been set up, to be honest, about what's available there. But yeah, there is sort of some of the standard Totara tools about sort of the encouraging the social side of things for exactly that. Learners, whether they're related within the workplace or external, like some of these sites, to actually go and contact them and share ideas. And obviously that's using mainly forums. I think some of the sites use chat as well.
We've also got a question on how complex it is to generate leaderboards.
Ah, interesting. Yes, well, in theory, obviously with the information is actually within the site itself. So it's just some obviously custom development to actually create. And again, it depends on what you're going to measure. That's the key thing to think about. Is it course completions, badges? But say you have that information around, say let's use an example for Samsung, like using who's got the most number of badges. So again, that data's in there. So it's really, I'm saying quite simply, I'm not a developer, so developers might shoot me here. It's a case of then obviously doing a query to pull out all of those users and then to sort the number of badges. So you get the top person with the awarded badges at the top of that table. And again, how interactive that table is and what information you display is really a choice for the client. Someone might just want to see their own name up in lights. You could obviously show, in this case, using Samsung, who they worked for as well in that leaderboard. There'd be some really interesting stats behind the scene as well from the reporting perspective, obviously which the learners don't see. You could quite easily see which particular stores are doing well and potentially which providers. And if Samsung could then tie that into obviously their sales figures, you could obviously then start doing some really interesting analytics between site usage, badges being awarded against actual sales as well. So there's some really useful information there. And again, as well as looking at who's doing really well, you could do the opposite. Start seeing who's not doing so well. And then maybe, like the local sales rep, for example, could then start seeing, well, what's happening at those particular stores. How can you obviously maybe visit that store, find out what's going on, and obviously increase their sales. But yeah, some really interesting analytics sort of generated by the site.
We've also got a question from Becca who said, with Compass, did you build the record of learning screen with the hovers, or did they do that? I'd like to customize ours. Thanks.
The hovers. Oh, was that in the course? I take it. That's a hover over state actually. So let me just see if I can bring something up that's relevant. I think I've got what you mean, Becca. Let me just have a quick look. I'm just going to choose a course here, nothing in particular. I think these are putting through completion. I take it you mean, have I got an example? I might have chosen one that hasn't got an example. I think you mean when I hover over one of these, it came up with the completion criteria. So yes, okay, thank you. So yes, that is a bit of customization there just to generate that message. Because again, the data's there, it's in the system, it's just putting that through and theming it up. But yes, that would be sort of a small customization.
And that looks like all the questions. Becca said thanks.
Brilliant, thank you. Thank you for your questions. And I think that nicely brings us up. I think we're a minute over, so that's good timing. Thank you very much for attending. I hope you found this useful. As I sort of mentioned earlier, if you have any questions, drop us a line. We can talk to you about the Totara side of things, what can and can't be done, and also the content side as well.